just to give an overview of my holiday, I basically promised my daughters a holiday across Europe because this is something I did when I was a student, and it's something I really wanted them to do. A lot of it's because my husband and I both feel that cultural experiences are essential to developing human beings and understanding their place in the world. And to understand it beyond books. You know, we read books, and to be honest, how many people now read history books? One of the things that disappoints me, even when I hear people talking about international relations, is they have no context, right? They talk about that event that happened then and there. Where's the context? And maybe it's because I grew up in the UK, but then my husband did not grow up in the UK, and he still feels the same. He loves history, I love history. You know, that's something that joined us together at the hip when we met. So we wanted to teach our daughters, and now they're older as well, so 18 and 12, so they can understand much more Europe, and we wanted to expose them to European history. My daughter, the older one, loves Egyptian mythology and Roman mythology, and she's been to Rome before, but she was a child, and the younger one hasn't. So we really wanted her to come and experience Europe, to understand, learn a bit more about the capitals, learn a bit more about people, different food, having inconveniences of life. We're living in all kinds of places. We're living in Germany, we're living in a hostel. It's a youth hostel, right? So there's 6 of us. We're in a cabin of 6 people with bunk beds. So I'm with, you know, my niece, my nephew, my sister, my own 2 daughters, myself, and we're bunking in bunk beds. I'll send you a picture if I can get hold of a picture for you. So that's how we're staying in Berlin. Amsterdam was a bit better, although we were so far away. We were in the Marriott courtyard near the airport. The hotel was much nicer, but it was really far away. So, you know, you have to weigh up, okay, do you want the convenience or do you want the cost? So we decided Berlin, we wanted to be central, and we decided to be on the east side. So I've been in Berlin now for 2 days, and at the end of the second day, I have to say, my experience has been pleasantly very surprising. Because I expected Germans, my perception of Germans were that they're strict, they're punctual, they're very to the point. And yet when I've been in Berlin, the environment's been very chilled and relaxed, and people are pleasant and friendly. And maybe it's because, as we know, Northern Europeans all become much more friendly during the summers anyway, because the weather's so much better. But it's been a fantastic environment to actually wander around in, to visit Berlin in. And Berlin itself is a beautiful, very majestic city as well. The buildings, many of the buildings which I've seen have all come during that period of imperial Germany's at its peak wealth in the 18th, 19th centuries. And you see that throughout the city, examples of those kind of buildings, whether it's the Brandenburg Gate or whether it's the Museum Mile, some so amazing buildings throughout. What's interesting about Berlin is, and I keep saying that and I apologize, I find lots of things interesting. Side story, when I started my job at Lehman, they used to do this strength testing. So it's kind of a psychology test. And one thing they said to me is, I'm an archiver. And I found that interesting because I realized I am actually an archiver. I love collecting bits and pieces of information, and I've done it since I was a childhood. And I used to read the Encyclopedia Britannicas, which were then available. I've got a whole set of them at my house, and I will send you pictures at some point in one of my future videos. I can't do it right now because I'm obviously in Germany. But so Berlin is this beautiful city, has the Museum Mile. Museum Mile has many amazing buildings. I'll give you some details on the Museum Mile as well. What I found interesting about Berlin was, and I was sharing this with my sister, that, you know, why did I think the capital was Bonn? And I kept saying this to her, you know, I studied O-level history. I studied history all my life. I love history. And I grew up in the UK, and in the UK, more than anything else, you study World War II, and you're told how great the United Kingdom was and how bad the German people were. And, you know, we grew up watching comedies of of British taking the piss out of Germans, basically. I apologize to any of you Germans out there, and it's really the British fault. And I always found that surprising because, you know, we were in the EU at the time, and I thought, how the hell, you know, we joined the EU in 1973 and still we have this hangover about the British and, you know, the British soldiers in 1945 and the German soldiers. And I don't know if any of you watched the Alistair MacLean book, I can't remember, Guns of Navarone or something. But anyway, so the Germans, we grew up, and as we grew up, what we learned is Bonn is the capital of Germany, because West Germany, where Bonn was the capital, was Germany for us, right? We were only talking about West Germany in general. Nobody ever talked about East Germany when I was growing up. And East Berlin was the capital of East Germany, but West Germany, the capital was Bonn. And that's where the hangover was in my head, that, you know, why is Bonn coming in my head? But Berlin, after the unification in 1989, when the wall fell down, and the official unification in 1990, Berlin became the capital of the whole of Germany, which historically it was the capital of the Prussian Empire. Even before the German unification of 1871, Berlin was the capital for the Brandenburg Empire as well, the Brandenburg electors, we should say. So Berlin has been the historical capital of Germany for many centuries, and it retook that position in 1990 after the unification. Berlin itself was split into 4 sectors during after World War II. Between the Allied powers of United States, UK, France, and USSR, the Soviet Union. East Germany became that particular sector, and East Berlin was the head of the capital of East Germany. There is a beautiful, I'm going to go through it with you, but East Side Gallery, one of the world's largest open-air galleries, which has the largest amount of remaining of the Berlin Wall left there. And it's now all become paintings by graffiti artists and paintings in general by artists from all over the world. Beautiful place to see remaining parts of that. I also went to Charlie's standpoint, which is where the official official divide between the city happened. So lots of amazing things to see. Brandenburg Gate was amazing. It's historical value to the Brandenburg Gate itself. I should also mention that Berlin is the largest city in Germany, but in Europe, it's actually the 3rd largest city. It's much smaller than London. In terms of area, it is 9 times larger than Paris, and I have to say I found that very surprising. And because of its particular location, it's considered to be the heart of Europe. And it really does feel like the heart of Europe, especially in the summer. What's interesting is while I'm here, the Euro 2024 is happening. So we have been watching on every street corner, and my nephew's with me. So he's been reminding us he needs to see the matches. Today we saw the match for the France versus Spain. Spain won 2-1, and Spain will now go through to the finals. We're not sure at this point who's going to be in the final with. UK versus Sweden. Okay, you can guess which side I'm egging on for. So 2024, what's interesting though is on every street corner outside, people are sitting in cafes and they've just put chairs there. They're outside the pubs here, they're having their drinks, they're having their food, and they've got a TV screen outside. And it's literally on every corner. I mean, it's such a beautiful sight. I love seeing that. You don't see it in the UK. I've never seen screens outside. In the US for sure, I've never seen screens outside. But I felt it was I don't know if it happens in other parts of Europe as well, but we saw it in Germany, and it's a beautiful culture. People are egging on. I noticed France in Germany. I was a bit surprised. I thought there would be much more rivalry, but it could be where I was sitting. I did see across the street people were egging on Spain, and they were shouting in jubilation when Spain got that goal in. So once again, I was pleasantly surprised that Germans had amazing desserts. So we had lots of different types of desserts. We used the opportunity to have currywurst as well. Currywurst is like a sausage with spicy tomato soup sauce on top. So we had the currywurst. I had a schnitzel as well. I've had schnitzel lots of times, but you know, there's nothing like having schnitzel in Germany. So I did have a schnitzel while I was in Germany. For those that you don't know, it's basically chicken with breaded crumbs on top. So it's a tasty, considered to be a German food. One of the, and we had lots of, I have to say, Turkish food while we were here. Maybe we shouldn't be having Turkish food because we're in Germany, but Turks are actually the largest immigrant group here in Germany. I think around 2 million people, it said. There's no clear figures. I tried looking into it, it wasn't clear. But over 250,000 of them actually live in Berlin, and every corner has a Turkish donor shop. So we had Turkish Adana here and falafel somewhere else. So we had Turkish food in a couple of places because I love Middle Eastern food and Turkish food. So any opportunity I get, I have it, because in the US, it's not good. It's so bland, it's so not Turkish, as far as I'm concerned. But okay, so we had lots of lovely Turkish food. One more thing I should mention is, while we're at the Museum Mall, and we're talking about Museum Mall and how amazing these buildings are, and unfortunately the museums weren't all free. It would have been great if they were. We didn't have enough time, to be honest, to go through each one of them anyway, but it's difficult to pay for every single thing. But Museum Mall is something you need to check out. But what is another interesting thing is, for the students out there, Germany is free for all students, whether you're national or international, going to a German public university, and some of the best universities in the world are German universities. It's phenomenal. I can't believe that the German government still pays for its students. The students themselves do not pay anything. So if you're an international student, apparently, and if you can speak German, that's the only catch though, you have to speak German, you can go to a German university free. I mean, in this day and age, that's phenomenal. I mean, especially if you come from the United States and you pay thousands of dollars for your child to go to university. And even in the UK now, it's the same. I think, if I remember, it's around £9,000 if you're a local student in the UK, and £30,000 if you're an international student. So Germany is amazing that it still gives out the free university. And the other thing that's interesting about Germany is the vocational qualifications. We know that Germans have put a huge emphasis on vocational studies, and it does produce people in really high quality. It does not say to all its students, go to university, go and pursue academics. No, vocational studies in Germany are considered to be as good as university academic studies, which makes total sense, because the majority of people, we now know with ChatGPT, with artificial intelligence, our university education is not even going to last 2 years. I read a stat somewhere. If you went to Harvard, that degree is worth 3 years of your life. That's it. After you've graduated, 3 years of your life, otherwise it's not worth anything. Harvard, to be honest, is probably worth a bit more. But anyway, 3 years is the average university. So imagine all the skill sets you learn in university are out of date within 3 to 4 years of leaving university. So vocational studies is where you need to be. This is going to be, especially after artificial intelligence, most of us people are going to be put out of jobs, because we have the kind of jobs that ChatGPT can do for people, artificial intelligence could do for people. So the fact that German universities are free, vocational qualifications are so emphasized, is something that is amazing for this rich, still socialist, relatively socialist country that it offers to its population. Okay, arriving in Berlin. I'm at the Brandenburg Gate. Unfortunately, this railings closes off because there's a match today. The European Football Cup is on 2024. There's a match today. Spain versus, I think, France. France and Spain apparently are playing today. The semi-final or the final is supposed to happen this 14th on Sunday. Thank God I'm not going to be in Berlin. But my trip to the Brandenburg Gate has been destroyed because this, as far as I'm concerned, I do enjoy football once in a blue moon, but once in a blue moon, that's it. Okay, so the reason why my Brandenburg Gate fixture, I can't see it because of the whole thing that's been set up here for Euro 2024 that's happening. Just for you all, you guys, footballers out there, I used to support Manchester United back in the day because I'm from Manchester. good, the sun is down, oh thank God. All I can say, the heat is gone, my skin was burning all day long. Now it's early evening, it's around 6:20 in Germany, and I'm in front of the most amazing building, the Reichstag. It's a beautiful building, I have to say. It's the first time in Berlin that I've seen this. It's my first trip to Berlin, and it's the first time I've seen the Reichstag. Obviously, we've all heard so much about it. It plays a very important part in this history. I'm in the Museum Island is here in Berlin, and it's basically a series of these magnificent museum buildings. Each one of them look as if they're made in the Baroque style, Renaissance style, thousands of years ago. But of course we know they weren't. They were made a couple of 100 years ago. But just a beautiful area. I mean, it's one impressive building after the other. And they're all different kind of museums. They have modern art museums, Islamic art is showing in one particular museum, German history is in another museum, and alongside that is the Berlin Cathedral, which has been on this site since 1425, when a small parish church was set up. Later, the building was expanded in the 18th century. It became much more of a Baroque style. Later then, the King Wilhelm IV, I think it was, one of the kings of Prussia, wanted to emulate the St. Peter's Basilica in Rome and show how rich and how important the Protestantism faith was versus Catholicism. So he helped to expand the Berlin Cathedral even bigger. Today it's still under reconstruction. It has been going through reconstruction since the 1940s because it was bombed severely during the World War II. And work is still being done, but it's a magnificent piece of work. It's a living church. People come here to say their prayers. Tourists can go inside. You make a small donation, and then you can see inside it. But it's located in a beautiful part of Berlin. And right now, today, on a summer evening, it's opposite this church. There's lots of green grounds. There's a fountain, and people are there with their families. So very familial, very pleasurable environment tonight as people sit here to enjoy the environment. I'm inside the Charlottenburg Palace, which is just on the outskirts of Berlin, probably what would be considered the suburbs of Berlin city proper, where all of the other sites are. Actually, I was surprised not as many people come and visit this palace as you do see in other countries. It's a beautiful looking palace, but it's not as ostentatious the way the Palace of Versailles, for example, is, which probably actually reflects on the Germans themselves. We all hear about the Germans, they have a very different lifestyle. The French are known to be much more ostentatious as compared to the Germans. The palace was built in around 1700 by Frederick I for his Queen Sophia, who loved the palace. She was very much into art, so this palace is full of art, pictures of musicians. She built an opera house on the grounds of the palace itself. The palace was destroyed in many parts during the 1940s, bombing by the Allies. They came and bombed different parts. These were then redone, rebuilt, looking at historical documents. The rooms were then redone according to those documents. I'm sorry for my voice, I've actually lost a large part of my voice. During the travels here, I've been having a lot of late nights, just soaking up things and then going to Blackpool with my sisters there, then Manchester, my sisters there. So landed in Berlin with a sore throat and the cold water in the cold weather in Amsterdam didn't help anything either.